Hello everyone, welcome to The Legionaries. Today we are going to introduce you with one of our guests who did his first transaction, the business transaction, at the age of 13. And today he is a grown-up businessman and he is leading a company. So let's understand his story and let me introduce him. Hi Kunal, welcome to the show.
Hi Malay, thank you for having me here.
Kunal, I heard a lot about the story behind when you were 13-year-old. I think it always better if you can, share the same concept or the same story.
100%. So it's a bit funny and immature, but immature over the days. So basically, when I was, my timestamp is a bit spoiled, but I think at the age of around 12 or 13, we used to collect Pokemon cards. It was the most trending thing at that time. And we used to buy packs of it and use thousands and thousands of rupees on it just to find a few rare cards or our favorite Pokemons. So luckily, after collecting quite a few thousand cards of Pokemon, I had got around 4 to 5 rare Pokemon cards, which also used to shine, So they had a shine in themselves. And so I think one of them was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a ghost Pokemon, a rare ghost Pokemon. I don't remember the names anymore. But so I was just sharing it with a few friends of mine and a few people I know. And one of the guys, he said, same age probably, he said, Kunal, I want these Pokemon cards. Why don't you trade it with me? And I was like, dude, I can't trade these cards because it's taken me quite some times and opening a lot of packets to find these. So he said, I will pay you for this. And my antennas went up. I was like, okay, now this is something new and I've never dealt with anything like this in my life. So he asked me, I said, okay, how much can you pay? So very naively, we were kids. He said, I have pocket money of some few thousand rupees. That was all around 5,000-6,000 rupees, 7,000 rupees or so. So I said, that's very difficult. I can't just give my cards for 7,000 rupees. And but I will do it for you since you love them so much. So why don't you give me 7,000 rupees for these 3 cards and give me 10 cards against it from your collection. So that's how it happened. I took 10 cards, took 7,000 rupees, and again then traded those 10 cards for 1,000, 1,500 rupees or so. So that it was quite a sprint for 6 months. I used to do that, and then I got off it, and all the money I used to collect because it was more about that time, I think. So today when I think about the past, it is like the thrill was more in doing that deal rather than getting the money in hand. Because whatever I made from that, selling those Pokemon cards, I used to go up and to my home and, put it in my mom's wallet. And she used to say, "Kahan se leke aaya?" Where did you get this money from? And I used to say, I sold some Pokemon cards. And she used to smile and I was like, yeah, you're like your father and stuff. But yeah, that was the story. So I think I've been, the business is in the blood. And the thought process was always like that. So from that time and, from then I started my business in early age of 17, 18, 19, we were doing very well. 20, we had a huge loss. Started with a few friends alone without any investment and stuff. So by that time we realized that it is business is what I'm meant to do.
Okay, so trading of Pokemon card at the age of 13, and you are not even 30 today, and you are leading a company called Monica Enterprises, which is amongst top 5 importer and distribution company of alcohol in India.
Yeah.
So how is the journey?
The journey has been great. So my family has been in the alcohol business for about 30-35 years now. And when they started, they were mere commission agents. So it is not that alcohol was something new to me when I joined in. I saw my father doing it on a small scale and whatever they used to do back then. And around in 2013-14, I wanted to join the industry. So I thought, what different can we do? And he allowed me to take part in the business, thankful to him. And that's where we started everything. And we started strategizing things. Couple of few first tries were, of course, didn't go very well. made a lot of bad decisions. Most of the first 4-5 consignments I could never sell, and everything got expired, or we had to destroy it technically. So it was quite a big blow that time. But yeah, things have gone well from then, and we are where we are today.
If you don't mind, can you tell more about Monica today?
So, so as I said, I joined. We have been in the business for quite some time. Monica was established in 2008 somewhere. We gave the name as Monica Enterprise to the company. And 2013-14, when we joined, we started with 3 to 4 people. And the whole business was around 3 to 4 people. And then from there, we started approaching brands. A few brands gave us their distribution for India. They trusted us. And we understood that we learned slowly. So basically from 4 people in early 2014-15 to 140 people or 150 people. Might as well, we are growing while we are speaking right now. So let's say 150 odd people right now, we are across India. So we are operating in all the top states of India. We do 120 odd brands. So 60 brands and 120 odd SKUs. So yeah, that's it about it. And people say that we are one of the most fastest growing businesses in the alcohol industry right now.
I think this is really fantastic. During this COVID period, especially, we have seen many companies, going up, going down, saying thank you to their employees and all those things. But we want to know more from you that when you heard in early 2020 about COVID, what you thought about this?
First I thought it's nothing to worry about. It's fake or it's just a rumor and stuff. I don't follow much of news. I don't watch a lot of news channels or read a lot of newspapers. But whatever I used to hear from my friends and see a couple of posts on Instagram that there's something called COVID-19 going on around. But I thought it must be like as good as swine flu or whatever, as a normal flu. So I never expected that it can go so wrong, and it will hit the industries the way it did. But it is, of course, everyone knows today. It's been 2 years that we've been struggling with COVID now. We are in the second wave right now, which is worse than the first one. So honestly, the whole we didn't knew what to do exactly. We were not prepared. We were never trained for this. In fact, I'm almost 30 now. I'm about to turn 30 this year. And I've never seen or experienced anything in my life like this. So we didn't knew what decision to take. Of course, I personally had a cold feet for a month or so, thinking that how will we take all these expenses that we have built onto, and how will we manage the whole business. But eventually we thought, because since it's tough for us, it's tougher for others, and everyone is going through the same phase, same era. So we decided that we won't lay any people off from our company.
Okay. Great. So, we want to know more about how COVID affected your personal as well as professional life.
Well, personal, I got COVID twice. First, I was detected positive and I was asymptomatic. So I had no signs of COVID or anything. I just went for a test because my wife was pregnant. So I thought it's better, and I was traveling, so I thought I'll take a voluntary test, and found out that I'm positive, so I was home quarantined. Second time I was not found positive, but I was feeling unwell, tired, and the doctor said that it's a new virus that is not being traced under RT-PCR tests. So any which ways, and so that was the personal front of it. In the professional way, we thought that we need to take, because I'm in tough situations, you need to get tougher, So we thought we need to change our strategies a bit, and which we did. And in fact, luckily, because we are a family-owned company and we are not a big corporate as quite a few other people, the decision happens in home, right? Between us and our family, my father, my brother, and everyone else. So we did quick decisions, and I think quick decisions helped us a lot. So in fact, in the year one of COVID professionally in our company, first few months were bad. Then we pulled up our socks and probably we had a 300-400% growth in the business compared to pre-COVID. So which was a surprise, and we were on our all-time high. But yeah, eventually things got stabilized, and again this year when the second wave came in, it's the worst. It is going totally opposite. I feel people are scared and they're not venturing out. They're not meeting anymore. There's been a lot of serious cases going around. Everyone has had serious cases in their family, so people are scared this time. So that's about it.
So any learning from COVID?
Well, yes, anything can happen anytime. That's what I learned, and it can be to a magnitude of such that we are facing today. We have to be prepared always. And the best thing that I understood this time is during this whole COVID period is because we were in double mind that should we do this, which was a bit negative part, or should we do this, which is more positive. And we thought the company is not here for a year or two. We have to go 20 years. So don't think short term and think long term, and just stand there, be there, and be nice to people. Treat the ecosystem around you as well and as you would treat your family.
Can you tell us more about how you coped up with the situation, how you treated your staff, anything drastic you did positively or negatively to sell out this time?
Well, in terms of staff and offices, nothing drastic. Everything was just going as before COVID it used to go. Of course, people were working from home, and we encouraged that as well. A few people couldn't work from home. We needed them in the office, so in a week, once or twice, they were called in office. Voluntarily, of course, we never pushed anyone. From business point of view, we changed our whole strategy. We were already very strong in retail, and I think we were very lucky for that. And retail market was going on. People were consuming alcohol at home. They were partying at home. And alcohol consumption was not all that bad at that time. So we thought we'll focus more on retail, and we made strategies which revolve around retail business, I think, which helped us a lot. And of course, our team, they never gave up. They were visiting, or they were making calls, and they were following up with people. I think the team has been a great support.
Kunal, another, about our industry, alcohol industry, we always believe that our industry is full of myth. I think I never experienced any other industry which got such huge myths.
Yeah, of course. The maximum myths are over here.
Yes.
It's the mecca of myths.
So what is that myth, you want to highlight that you busted amongst your peer group?
There are quite a few. The most interesting one is about absinthe. So absinthe is we know it. For people who don't know it, it's a strong, potent alcohol. It's a liqueur. And the biggest myth that I've seen around my peers is that whenever they think of absinthe, they get a cringe, because they think of absinthe as a shot. And when you have a shot of something which is so potent, 49% or 60, 70, 75% or so, of course it will give you a cringe. It will burn you from inside. So I told a lot of people, because I learned from the brands that we do, they told us what is the right way of having absinthe. And the best way, and which is my favorite, is called the Green Fairy. So you take absinthe and you pour water in it and you dilute it, and it becomes a bit hazy, milky in color. So that's one of the best drinks that I had. It's a great daytime drink. And when I introduced those to people, for a fact, I know that those people became fans of absinthe, who used to cringe on it, whenever they used to hear about absinthe or think about absinthe.
In Wine and Spirits Club of India, we always say that drink tastefully and enjoy responsibly. So I think always, around alcohol, responsibility is very basic.
Yeah, of
That
course.
We need to know that if you are not going to drink your alcohol responsibility, for that matter, if you are not going to eat your medicines responsibly, it is going to bounce back.
Anything that you don't do responsibly is going to harm you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anything in excess would harm you as well.
True. So when you talk about myth, when you talk about awareness, I think, don't you think our industry need more of awareness, as well as a country like India?
Of course.
We are not allowed, to promote alcohol openly.
So when you say our industry needs a lot of awareness, if we talk particularly about India and a few countries which are dark market like India, I would say yes, we need a lot of awareness. One of the reasons that alcohol has done bad to people is because they are not aware about how to drink it or how to consume it, or technically how to be responsible about drinking. So I think a lot of brands are doing that now in whatever way they can, at the point of consumption, at the point of service, wherever it is allowed. And if promotion is allowed in future ever in India, I think it will take alcohol consumption in more positive light and in more socializing way, rather than the way it is considered right now.
In particularly for your company, Monica Enterprises, as you rightly said that you are representing around 60 odd brands in this part of the globe. So what all you people are doing for your brands to have more awareness in your potential consumer?
So of course, if I would say, I'm not a doctor, and if I would say, oh, you're sick and you should have a couple of these medicines, you won't believe it, right? So you need a doctor to say what you should have when you're sick. So that's what we understood at very early time. So we have a team who understands alcohol, who have studied alcohol, okay? Bartenders who know beyond mixing drinks. They know how the drinks are produced, how they are supposed to be consumed, the quality and everything. So we have a exciting team who does these trainings with the consumers and to the trade, to the outlets, or wherever we can. So, and through Instagram, Facebook, we try to promote different ways of drinking, different styles of drinking. So we are doing a bit in whatever we can do, by events, by social media, by trainings.
And anything you do in the retail outlet to make your brand more visible and all?
Yeah, of course. I mean, visibility is because there is no, India is a dark market and there is no visibility and promotion allowed in India. The best thing we can do is have our visibility in the retail stores. So we make sure that our bottles are visible. If possible, if budgets or outlets allow, we try to have our units, which also talk about the brands that we are kept over there. So, and we hire promoters who we train them personally about the brand, where the brand comes from, the history of the brand and everything. And they do their job. So that's a bit of activities we do in the retail.
So in your portfolio, what all countries product you cover?
Oh wow, I was not prepared for this. So, so I'm sorry if I'm missing anything, but we have products from Mexico, we have products from France, Italy, Australia, Spain, California. We have products from London, UK, Greece. No, we have products from Peru, Argentina, Chile. We do products from Lebanon. As a matter, Australia. I don't know if I'm repeating Australia, but yeah. So I think almost from all the continents. I won't say from all the countries, but we have something from all the continents almost.
I can add one, Venezuela.
Venezuela. So of course, the best rum I think around the dark rum is Venezuelan Ron Diplomatico.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Kunal. Awareness, India, and all those things. Anything more interesting you want to tell about your awareness you people are doing for your brands?
I think so. Basically, as Monica Enterprises as a company, we focus on 4 P's of marketing. The first one is, of course, the product, and we always say only the best. So we get anything that we get in our portfolio. It goes through through a panel of people who test the brand, they taste the brand, they learn about the brand, whether there is history, quality, and quite a few more things about it. So that is product. And then second is place. So we make sure that the product is available in the right places, the price of the product. So if you see the whole portfolio, the way we have made, which you know very well, we get the best value out of the products, we strive hard to give the best value to the consumers. I think one of the reasons we are applauded for is, the pricing of the portfolio, the way we price it. And the fifth one is promotion. Promotion. So promotion, basically, as I said, promotion in the retail outlets, on-premise outlets, doing a few events, doing a few cocktail events in that case, which are very fun. I love them. And those are a few things that we do. We try to get bartenders from outside of India, from Singapore, well-known bartenders from Singapore, Australia, or wherever we have, or brand ambassadors of the parent companies. And we try to do cocktail events with them in a few outlets across the cities. So all these things help a lot in awareness.
Oh, wow, nice. Kunal, we do have one of the segment where we want to know your favorite alcohol. So what is your personal favorite?
My personal favorite now, so I started with rum, and then there was beer, and beer is always like a starter, so you can never get off beer. So I started with rum, then I moved to dark rums, more of the premium rums. And now I think one of my two favorites is rum and tequila. So in tequila, I've tried recently some amazing tequila cocktails. If I can make it well, I'd prefer to drink a tequila cocktail in an evening.
Wow.
Or if I'm in an outlet, why not? Yeah, the bartenders can make some.
Okay, let me ask you one of the product which we want to talk in this discussion, which is Bushmills.
Okay.
So Bushmill is the Irish single malt or Irish whiskey, and they are the oldest.
Yeah.
You carry that in your portfolio.
Yes.
So tell us more about Bushmills.
So Bushmills, honestly, to be very true, I never liked whiskeys. I never liked the flavor of whiskeys, and because most of the time I was drinking, I personally have not liked a lot of Scotch whiskeys, because of smokiness or everything. I like a bit of sweetness somewhere, and not sweetness, a more flavor profile and everything. So when I tried Irish whiskey for the first time, and which it was not Bushmills, I realized that this is some whiskey that I can drink. And after that, we were introduced to Bushmills, and which is a legend in itself. It has completed, I think, 400 plus years since its inception of the distillery. And 400 years is too long, and I'm born in 30 years, so you can imagine. So, yeah, it is one of the oldest distillery across the world. They do some beautiful products, okay? They have a beautiful whiskey, a blended whiskey, which is Black Bush, which is my favorite. And recently they launched something special for Asia Pacific, which suits the palate of Asia Pacific people, which is the Bushmills 12-year-old. It is triple distilled like all other Irish whiskeys are. And I think, it is one of the best, top 3, top 5 whiskeys, Irish whiskeys in the globe.
Yes, I think you are going to be one of the youngest panelists of ours, and with age, everybody got different experience to share what is their definition of a successful brand. So we want to know from you, what is your definition of a successful brand?
So my understanding of a successful brand, or my take on a successful brand, is someone who delivers quality, who's transparent to their peers to the ecosystem. Someone who has, stood the test of time, someone who changes with time and, keeps doing innovations. I think someone who does all of this can become a successful brand.
Thank you, Kunal, for sharing time with us. For our viewers, I am honest and I want to share my thought process with you. When we started or thought about this concept called the Legionaries, the whole idea is that we want to share the motivational story of all these legionaries to you. And today we heard the interesting story of Kunal Patel. It is always a perceived value that pay you in the long run, and how Monica Enterprises and Kunal did their bit in this difficult situation is really interesting.